And here's a perfect representation of my reaction during the Chargers and Jaguars game. I'll keep the blanket on for those of you that love seeing it. Guys, this was unequivocally one of the worst losses I have ever seen. I cannot even recall the last time I saw a match this bad. Hey, that match was actually good, okay? Because it got Staley and Telesco out there and it got us a completely new regime. So that match is actually good. So that wasn't a bad match. The Chargers lost by a score of 45-6. They couldn't even get one touchdown in there. My goodness, I had the Chargers winning, but in a really close game. And if you look at most sites, most of them had the Chargers winning, but somehow the Chargers just got absolutely destroyed in this game. It's just one of the most shocking games that I've ever seen. But as I continue to look at the stats of this game, it really spells out the picture as to how exactly this game happened. Oh yeah, and by the way, just like last video, if you guys hear noise in the background, it's currently raining outside, so sorry about that. Which, by the way, that perfectly matches my emotion after the game. No, I'm not crying. I'm not crying. Why is everyone looking at me right now? Herbert, how could you do this to me? Only a day later, after I praised Herbert for having an amazing year, he goes and does this. Herbert completed only 10 of 18 passes for only 81 yards with 0 touchdowns and 1 interception and a 44% passer rating. Truly a marvelous gem of a crappy performance. And the thing is, Herbert didn't even have 1 passing yard in the second half of this game. There's a reason for why that was the case, but I'll get to that later in the video. There's a part of me that believes that Herbert may have been dealing with some type of injury in this game, because there were definitely moments in the second half where Herbert taking off and he just looked slow. He looked as if he was dealing with an injury of some type, and his passes were just coming off so terribly. So it leads me to believe that there was an injury of some type, which, by the way, I'm not shocked that there's an injury, because the hits that offensive line is allowing, it's very clear that those hits have added up. So I would not be shocked if he is injured. But my gosh, this was such a terrible game by Herbert. To give you an idea of how bad this game was, Herbert led the team in rushing yards. Now, by hearing that, you probably think, oh, okay, he must have had some huge scrambles. We must have probably had 70, 80 yards rushing. No, he had 13. 13 rushing yards. Help us. One thing that definitely did not make it easy for us in this game, and I mentioned it during the preview for this game, was the offensive line. The offensive line gave up another 2 sacks on Herbert this year, which makes it now 35 times he's been sacked. But the insane part, it's not the sacks that's the big thing. It's the pressure. How much pressure can you get? The fact is, you can get 5, 6, or 7 sacks in a game, but if a quarterback drops back 60 times, or 50 or 60 times, and those are the only 7 times you get pressure, then you're not gonna really disrupt the passing game that much. Then it's how much pressure can you get. And Jacksonville went into this game with a pressure weight of 39.1. In this game, they pressured Justin Herbert on half of his dropbacks. Half. Adding on to the Chargers' offensive struggles in this game, the Chargers only had 135 total yards of offense. 135 total yards of offense. Literally, quarterbacks throw for double that amount nowadays. The Chargers absolutely could not get anything going. And what's crazy is that in the first half, the game was actually still pretty close. The halftime score of the Chargers and Jaguars game was 14-6, which, yeah, it's not favorable for the Chargers, but it's still a game. And realistically, that's kind of where I expected the score was going to be at halftime. But then it completely just got out of hand in the second half. And I'm about to get to what I think was the number one reason why the Chargers lost this game. But can we just talk about how terrible this offense was in terms of just producing yards and be able to get yards? Now, granted, Of course, none of that is easy when you have a terrible offensive line, but I think it would be pretty unfair to blame this whole game on the offensive line. Like, Herbert was really off, and the rushing attack, I mean, again, I stated earlier, Herbert had led the team in rushing yards, even though he only had 13, so that's just really terrible. The number one thing as to why the Chargers were destroyed by the Jaguars was time of possession. Do you guys want to know the time of possession in this game? The time of possession in this game was 37 minutes to 22 minutes. That is a whole quarter difference of football between the Jaguars and the Chargers. But here's where the crazy part. Here's where it gets crazier. Really, where the time of possession really shows is in the second half. When the second half started, the Chargers were down 14-6 in the second half. Then the Jaguars, they get the ball first, and they go on a 7.5 minute drive. 7.5 minutes. Most people don't even last that long in bed. Anyways, so the Chargers don't get the ball back until they're down 21-6. And unfortunately, the offense goes a quick 3 and out. And the Jaguars get the ball with around 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Take a wild guess as to when would be the next time the Chargers would actually get the ball. Go on. When would be the second time the Chargers would actually touch the ball in the second half? I'm going to tell you, okay? When there is only 11 minutes and 38 seconds left in the fourth quarter after the Jaguars just scored another touchdown. Anyways, the point is that those drives were just unreasonably long, and they kind of go into the next point that I wanted to bring up with why the Chargers lost so badly, which was just a poor defensive performance. I mean, you can't have that in the second half, where 2 drives in the second half both eclipse the 7-minute mark. Like, you can't have that. That's how you lose football games. You lose football games by letting the offense stay on the field for just absolute long stretches of time. And it's also worth knowing that the Jaguars rushing game was just completely tearing apart our defense. There were 2 running backs that had over 70 rushing yards, and their running back Travis Etienne, you know, before the game I was saying I don't know anyone on the Jaguars offense. I do now though. I do now. So thank you, Travis Etienne, for making me know your name. I won't forget it now. So where did the Chargers go from here? There's some good news and there's some bad news. The bad news is that, of course, the Chargers lost big time, but at the same time, a lot of teams in the AFC did win. So that definitely is going to hurt the Chargers, especially during their bye week, because if a lot of those same AFC teams win again in the bye week, then that's just going to push the Chargers back. And there is a chance the Chargers may actually be at the 7th seed or completely out of the playoff picture by the time they come back from their bye week, which is just an absolute shame because they went into today's game with only 1 game behind the Broncos for first place in the AFC West. But now there's a chance that once the bye week is over, they can be completely out of the playoff picture. There is some good news though. The good news, of course, is that the Chargers are entering their bye, so they have a chance to rest up. Herbert has a chance to heal up from the hits, because I'm telling you right now, those hits are starting to add up. They are absolutely adding up, and sooner or later, he's going to get injured if we don't address this offensive line and we don't find a way to work around this offensive line. And luckily, coming out of the bye week, our first matchup is against the Raiders. Now, granted, I know, yeah, the Raiders haven't been very good this year, but they're still a division rival, and you just don't want to take them lightly, because at this point in the season, you just cannot afford to lose those easily winnable games, because then all of a sudden you lose a winnable game and then you go into a matchup against the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and it's just now you're just looking dead in the water pretty much. And that's it. That's gonna be it for my rant on the Chargers getting absolutely destroyed by the Jaguars. Tell me if you guys like these style of videos, since I kind of like this as well, where I could just sit down, I could just talk about the game and talk about, you know, what I observed and what I think about the game and what I think about certain players' performances and just what I just noticed with my own eyes. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. There are a few things I wanted to address. I know couple of videos ago I had mentioned that I was working on a short film that's gonna come to this channel. It's still being worked on. We did get done with filming it, and we are currently in the process of editing it. And right now it's being edited by the awesome Simplicity Films. Go check her out. She actually does have a channel here on YouTube, so go check her out. She's absolutely phenomenal with editing and with cinematography. She's amazing at that. So go check her channel out. And we're still working on it. And of course, it's going to come to this channel, and it's also going to come to a second channel that we're making that's going to be exclusively just films, movies, any of that stuff right there. I think that's it right there for today. Let me know if you guys want to keep seeing this type of videos. Please like, subscribe, and share the videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. By the way, what do you guys think of this unfinished shaving job right here? I was in the middle of shaving when all of a sudden my battery ran out, and rather than waiting for the battery to be recharged, I decided to just go ahead with making this video. Tell me what you guys think of this unfinished shaving job. I'll see you guys later.